Okay, welcome back to the Success, Money, Marriage
You did it again.
podcast.
You looked at me.
I'm Steve Siebold.
And I'm Dawn Siebold.
What? What?
You looked at me again when you said marriage. Like, don't look at me.
Well, we are married. Okay, speaking of being married,
Yes.
that's what this episode is about. Remember to subscribe to successmoneymarriage.com, and we'll send you subscribe to the podcast. We'll send you an email every week. We do the episode once a week. You'll get an email so you never miss an episode, because you never know what the hell Dawn is going to say during the show.
Or how many times Steve's going to get hit.
Or how many times I'm going to get hit. There you go. Okay, so talking about marriage, Gallup came out, the Gallup organization came out with an article called "Is Marriage Becoming Irrelevant?" Now, Gallup, we've worked with Gallup before, and they're a phenomenal organization. Of course, they've been around forever, and they're very credible. And it's a whole study, as Gallup is known for, on the possibility that marriage is really becoming it's becoming less and less of a cultural norm, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty obvious. You look at how many friends of ours that aren't married that are living together.
Yeah.
And they're not only at our age. I mean, they're younger, much younger.
Yeah.
You know, we have a great niece who's in her 20s and has a 5-year-old, and they just live together. Never got married.
Well, so I'll ask you, now that you brought that up, I'm going to ask you a question about that.
Okay.
So I'm not going to show you the answers. Like in college, you're cheating off me all the time.
Oh, gosh.
I'll let that go.
You should.
So in 1990, now we lived together in
85?
85, right? Yeah,
Right.
85. 1985. Yeah, 1985. I guess it was just 1 year, right? 1 year.
Before we got married?
Yeah, before we got married.
Right.
Okay, so this is 5 years later.
Okay.
In 1990, what percentage of couples were living together that weren't married?
Oh, I would say less than 10%.
Yeah, in 1990.
1990.
What do you think it is? Take a guess.
8.
4%.
Yeah.
4%. I didn't know it was that low.
Yeah, I know. We were the only ones we knew that were living together.
Your mom was not too happy.
My mom, my sisters, my brother,
yeah,
my
it was
father,
bad.
my aunts, my uncles, my church friends.
They said, "Who is this gigolo?" I mean, we realized this guy is like super great looking and like a sexual athlete, but why are you living with him?
They met you, and then they clearly knew that was not the case. No, and it didn't matter how much we tried to explain it.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. It was financial. We wanted to be with each other. We wanted to live together.
Well, we were going to college.
We were going to college, and it was, financially, it was a great decision for me because your parents helped, pay for the apartment that we lived in, and
right.
But
well, before that though, we sort of lived together sometimes.
Mother doesn't know about that.
Oh, your mother's gone.
She's gone. We can say it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, we had a storage area. No, don't judge us when you hear this. Well,
it was a nice storage area.
Okay, it was a storage area, but it was a 30 by 30. No, yeah, 30 by 20, maybe 20.
30 by 20, yeah.
So 30 by 20, if I remember right, that sounds about right. 30 by 20 storage area outside of Atlanta in Doraville, little country in the city. Atlanta Rhythm Section.
Right off of Buford Highway.
Doraville, that's one of their biggest songs. Atlanta Rhythm Section, ARS.
Right.
It was in Doraville, where you grew up. It was a storage area, and I had been renting one with a friend of mine, Keith Atkins, who was my high school buddy, and we threw parties in high school, our senior year, at our storage area, and it was kind of a little bit of a rundown storage area.
No, it was a very rundown storage area.
Okay, it was cheap.
But keep in mind, you guys,
it was $60 a month.
Stephen, you were living with your parents. I was living with Mother.
Well, yeah, I was in high school.
And my brother. You were at a high school.
Well, this is before. This was me and Keith.
Oh, this was, okay, but I'm just saying, when you and I got together, we were both living with our parents. And so we didn't really have a place to go. We couldn't really afford to go anywhere to be together.
Yeah, so, well, when Keith and I got it, we got it to throw parties because we were seniors in high school. So we fixed it up. We put a bar in there, we put a stage in there so we could play guitar and play music and stuff. And we would have sometimes, 40, 50 people at those parties. It was phenomenal. We blasted music and no one was there at night because it's a storage area. Nobody goes there at night. And we would throw parties, and it was not way out there, but it was pretty close to I-85 where there was some noise, and it just, I don't know, we got away with it. It was fantastic. So Keith and I rented it. Then the next year, I think we had the same one. I think it was the same storage area, wasn't it?
It was.
And then Keith did something else. He didn't want to do the storage area, so I asked Dawn, and I said, it's cost you $30 a month. Mine's 30 years, 30. Got split it, and so she said, okay, I'll do it. And because you were working at Kmart, you were big money.
I was.
You had big cash.
I was working.
That's why I want to date you.
I was working
cash rich.
I was working full time.
Yeah, you had your Kmart uniform on, blue light special, whole thing. And so she had some cash, $30 a month. So I thought, all right, I'm connecting. What do you call it?
But at the time, did you feel like we were doing anything?
Look it up. Look it up.
Yeah, but at the time, did you feel like we were doing anything wrong? I mean, did you feel like it was deceitful?
No. It was just so we had somewhere to go. Remember, we bought a couch and we put a TV in. We didn't put a TV, I don't think.
No, we had stereo. Yeah, we fixed it.
We had a little stereo.
No, but my point is at the time people weren't really doing that, and just look over years now. Nowadays, it's not uncommon to meet a couple that doesn't get married that stay together for years.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it worked out. We had a lot of fun with it and everything, and then we moved into an apartment. We went to college, which was great. But okay, now this is going to probably shock you a little bit. All right, I'm not going to tell you what it is. But now in 2019, in 1990, 4% of people were living together that weren't married in America.
Okay.
But in 2019, Gallup did another survey and asked how many people are living together. What percentage is it in 2019?
I would say 65%.
You're not even close.
Oh, really?
No.
How much?
9%. It's not that high.
It's not that high.
No, 9%. According to Gallup.
People still want to get married.
Well, a lot of people aren't living together, I guess, and some people are getting married, but 9%, it's not that high.
It's not that high.
Crazy, right?
Well, it doubled.
I thought it'd be a lot higher.
It doubled.
It doubled, but it took 30 years.
Okay, I thought
it'd be much higher, too.
I think maybe it's just the people we hang around.
It's accurate.
Maybe
it's in
just our bubble.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I always thought it was a really good way to test drive getting married.
Yes, and if you're a guy, that's something that your father would probably tell you. But if you're a female, they would say, hey, you know what? This is what mother would say. He either commits or he doesn't. But it's just as equal. No, I mean, serious.
What was the cow thing? Don't give him the milk. He doesn't buy the cow or something like that. Is that really bad?
It was really bad.
Really horrible,
It was just very very degrading to women.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think...
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, I just think it was different for men than it is for women. Because for the woman, it was like, hey, if he doesn't put a ring on your finger, you don't do that. And I don't know why. I don't get it. For me, it would be a great trial as well. I mean, I never saw us doing that as a trial, but certainly people thought that's what we were doing.
We just wanted to do it.
We just wanted to do it, yeah. So, but it's just as equal, I think, for the woman to have a trial as it is for a man. But it's certainly not looked upon like that in society.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I don't, but it was a real stigma, remember, back then.
Very much.
Like, oh, you're living together? Oh, my gosh.
Sin City,
you're living in sin.
Living in sin.
Again, marriage is obviously a religious institution, so that's what it is. And this has primarily been a religious country for a long time. It's becoming far less religious than it has been, which I think is probably a good thing. But because it's secularizing, no question about it. But when you're talking about marriage, it is a religious institution. So a lot of people feel like living together is wrong still, but not like in our day. Back in our day, dear. Yeah. Right. So okay. So anyway, that's kind of surprising. Okay. So let's keep talking. So this whole thing on Gallup about marriages, I found it pretty fascinating. So I'm going to quiz you now.
Okay.
I'm into the quizzing thing. I feel very
9%.
No, I didn't even asked the question yet.
4%.
Hold on. You're working your muscles there a little bit. I feel very powerful in this role.
Okay.
I really do. I like this. I did not plan on doing it this way.
Okay, go ahead.
But I feel very powerful that I have the answers and you don't.
Well, there you go.
I like it.
Okay.
I like this a lot. Okay, so here's my question for you. Here's the question for you. Top 3 reasons people cite for getting divorced. What do you think one of them is? Just try to guess one.
Sex.
No?
Money.
No? Not top 3.
You know what? I would almost guarantee that whatever the top 3 were that you're going to tell me soon is going to boil down to either sex or money at the end of the day.
Well, number 2. Okay, I'll give you the 3.
Okay.
Number 1 is lack of commitment. They feel like the person's not committed.
Okay, I bet that has something to do with some deceit when it comes to either money or sex.
Well, it just said lack of commitment. That's what it said.
Okay.
Number 2 is infidelity, so that'd be sex.
So that's sex.
Okay. And number 3 is arguing and conflict.
About money.
Well, didn't say
I'm
that.
just saying, I think at the end of the day.
That's what people say in the survey.
I think it's great, but I wonder if sex and money were a part of the survey.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I wonder
probably
if that was the multiple choice.
Children, probably. Because I think people fight about kids.
They may, but I just feel the root of most of the problems that I read about and hear about with my friends. My husband doesn't cut the grass anymore because I don't cook anymore because he doesn't show me appreciation and she doesn't have sex with me anymore. I mean, normally I just think it boils down to either sex or money.
Well, you're a very strange girl, Dawn.
I bet that wasn't even a multiple choice question.
Strange girl.
Well, what do you think?
Always have been.
What do you think?
Well, I think probably, I mean, to your point, I mean, I think money's probably.
I mean, at the root. I mean, at the real root of the problems in a marriage, I think it's one of the two.
Infidelity is probably a pretty big one. Mm-hmm. Someone cheats and they feel, there's not that connection anymore. But I think probably money problems as well. Fighting, which would come under arguing and conflict. Right. Fighting about money, but I think fighting about kids. I mean, we never had kids, so we never fought about kids. Mm-hmm. But I'll bet there's a lot of fights about kids.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
People listening to this going, if kids are going, yeah, dummies, of course they're, because I mean, that obviously brings in a whole,
right.
And you can't that's the thing about kids, you can't get out of it.
No, you can't.
That's the one. You can always get divorced. You can also move away. You can run away in the middle of the night. You can stay single, whatever. But you can't get out of heaven. You got to be. I mean, some people do, I guess. Mm-hmm. But
some people have to. I mean, depending on the situation. But
yeah, but you got to take care of them, right? You got to take care of kids. Yeah. So you can't really.
But I think at the end of the day, whether you're legally married or not, those would be the same issues.
Oh, sure.
I mean, of just staying together, so I don't think that has as much to do with being married as being a couple and staying together and living your life together and sharing everything. So,
well, sometimes people can't afford to get divorced either. It's expensive.
Oh, yeah, right.
They can't split up. They can't have two households, whatever. So it's a tough place to be. Okay, here's my next question, young Dawn.
Okay, Steve.
All right, here it is. What percentage of Americans, are you listening?
I am.
What percentage of Americans are single? The smart people. That's who they are. They're the smartest people in America, the single ones.
I have to keep reminding you this is a marriage podcast?
Oh, yeah, sorry. I forgot. I'm just saying they're smart people. These are really bright people.
I would say 50%.
Okay, all right. So let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you the second part of the two-part question.
Okay, that I don't know the answer to.
That's why I feel so powerful.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so in 1960, what percentage of Americans were single? 1960. This is according to Gallup.
I would say over a certain age. I mean, we're talking kids.
No, just in general. These are single households is the way they do it.
Okay, because I was like,
people that live on their
teenagers.
Own.
Okay, I would say
not kids.
25%.
13.
13. Okay.
13. Okay. In 2021.
50.
Okay. Try again.
I don't know, Steve.
Oh, this is very, very empowering.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
I feel really emboldened.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It's great. You want to try again?
No.
No. Well, I know the answer because I read the article. Dawn.
Okay.
Young Dawn. 28% are single now.
Wow. Okay.
They're getting smarter. More people are getting smarter and going, no.
Well, why did they say it was?
No, I'm not going to get married.
What was the reason they're single?
Well, that wasn't in the article. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why, because they're smart.
Could have done a little more research on that.
They're brilliant people. That's why it's not in the article. It just says, so
interesting.
Anyway. Yeah,
interesting.
So it's
So it's growing.
It's growing.
More people are not feeling maybe the high need to get married or to rush out and get married.
Not. Well, it's becoming less religious, and that's part of what they said.
Okay, all right, that's a good point.
Yeah, a lot of this comes down in the article to religion, because when people were more, obviously the country was more religious in 1960.
Right.
The fastest growing group of Americans is, religiously speaking, is the nuns.
Nuns, yeah.
No religious affiliation, or the nuns as they call them.
Right.
It's almost 30% of the country.
That's interesting.
Young people are moving away from religion.
So is there any correlation to happiness?
I didn't get into that. The article didn't get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, so I won't get into that because it wasn't in the article. That's probably a good topic for another time. We can do some research on that. Okay, so my last question, young Dawn, is this. We need some music to tee this up.
We'll get Hunter to add some.
Okay. The U.S. divorce rate in 1981 was what percentage of people get divorced?
In what?
1981.
1981, I would say 30%.
53.
50%?
53.
I didn't think it was 50% until after 2000.
53 was 1981 was the high. That was the highest since it was ever tracked. 53.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know why in 81.
Interesting.
2021, what percentage?
I would say about the same.
45.
Yeah, about
pretty
the same.
close. So about 50-50. 50% stay together, 50% get divorced.
Wow.
So it's some pretty interesting statistics, but I think what's happening probably is, again, as the country is secularizing, and some people think that's good and some people don't, but whatever it is, it's happening. And I think it's going to continue to happen as information becomes, again, these kids grow up with these phones,
statistics.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Pretty interesting stuff.
You see how it's evolving.
Well, I think probably, it'd be interesting to see that in, 25 years of marriage is just not
Obsolete.
really a big thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know.
And how do you think people that are in business together, is that going to affect them?
Oh, now you want to ask the questions.
I'm just asking.
You want the power.
No. I'm just asking.
I don't blame you.
I mean, seriously, I wonder how that's going to affect people that are partners in business, if any at all, if they're not married. Because I do think marriage is a false sense of security for women.
Why?
Because in my day, we were brought up, that you're looking for the security. And to get that security, you have to be married, or it helps to be married because then you have a double income, someone watching after you, and I think it's a false sense of security we've been sold so that we're taken care of.
Yeah.
And we have that support system.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure women feel like they need it anymore.
Well, one of the things that we'll talk about on another show is the child.
We're more educated. We're more educated. We have more choices, so I think, it's getting to the point now where women are like, why do we really need men?
Well, if you think about it, I mean, this is something, as you know, this really makes my far-right religious friends really upset. And that's the average 10-year-old knows more about the world than the smartest people that wrote the Bible.
Right.
And that they contributed to the Bible over a period of, 75 years when they wrote it, over a period of time. Because of information.
Right.
I mean, they look up their phones, they know more information's out there.
Yes.
They're not smarter, they're just more educated.
And
So I mean,
readily available.
We're looking at these institutions and saying why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think marriage is actually a bad institution. It's not a great success. 50%, if it's 50% failure in school, that's an F.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about as strong as having a contract with someone you're going into partners with.
Why not just have a contract?
I don't know.
Like a 3-year deal.
I don't know. Or why do you even need a contract? I mean, can't people stay together because they want to, not because they have to?
Well, maybe now we're not talking about kids, so that's a different thing. People say, you got kids, that's all different.
But still,
thing,
you don't feel like you have to stay together because you have children. Because I think that's worse. How many times have we talked to people who go like, "I wish my parents had just divorced when I was 10
because they fought
they fought the whole time and they stayed together for us, and now look how crazy we are."
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think kids are a reason to stay together.
Right.
As much as parents would like to think that.
Well, your parents got divorced when you were young.
Yeah, my mother was really kind of forced to divorce daddy because to get him in an institution. So it wasn't because of children. It wasn't because of, that was a sort of a weird situation. But no, I mean.
My parents were married for 60 years.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. It's a good topic.
Yeah,
pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, thanks for the questions.
Yeah. So with that, you guys will wrap up this episode. Remember to subscribe to Success Money Marriage Podcast. No, successmoneymarriage.com. .com. You're confused with the other podcast.
Sorry.
SuccessMoneyMarriage.com.
.com.
And we'll email you an
.com.
episode every week so you don't miss anything Dawn has to say because you just never know what she's going to say. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.